Hello, hello, and happy Friday. It's August 22nd, 2025. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, or TMI Show for short, because we just always bring you way too much information. Today's going to be a doozy of TMI. So, for those of you who are squeamish about lady parts conversations, the second story is not for you. I'm just gonna put it out there, Ted, because I don't know why, but people seem to be okay with talking about male parts and that those are funny, but girl parts, people get squeamish. Just saying.
Gay guys. Have you ever talked to, you must have talked to I've talked to gay guy friends about, stuff like cunnilingus and oh my God, it's like they literally are, you've never seen anyone just more icked
They're
out.
grossed out?
They're so icked out. They're just like, oh God, I can't believe it. Stop. Don't even.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fun.
I don't know
try
that I've
it.
had
It's
any.
really great. You should be like, I love me. And they're like, stop, no.
I don't think I've ever had that conversation with my gay friends.
You should. It's
My
great.
lesbian friends, obviously, they talk about it, but not my gay male friends. So I don't know. But yeah, that's part of the conversation today is some lady parts. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. But we're also talking about the UN finally making it official, like the worst kind of official news, that there is officially a famine in Gaza. And we'll get into the weeds. Yeah, I mean, who knew, Ted? Who knew that blocking aid into this war-torn region was going to lead to this? I mean, who knew? I'm shocked. Totally shocked. But that'll be the first story. Then we'll talk about California, always ahead of the curve, Ted. Fashionable, all that stuff. And including bringing back the plague.
Thanks, Callie.
That's fun. That's fun. And last but not least, the alligators are going to go hungry, Ted, because they're not going to super sad. They're not going to have the yummy migrants to gnaw on. They have 60 days, though, before alligator Alcatraz gets shut down.
It'll be shut down. It will be shut down.
It will be shut down. Yeah, but I'm saying this story is based on the Everglades and the gators. That's why it's being shut down, is for the benefit of the gators. But I feel like if you polled the gators, they were waiting for some yummy migrant meat.
They're gonna have to settle for all those big those pythons that they play with.
Do they eat them?
Oh yeah, no. There's like amazing, there's amazing video.
Gator versus python.
Yeah, you know about the pythons, right? Like there's
no.
all these. Oh no, the Everglades are lousy.
It's on a plane. That's all I know.
They're lousy with pythons. The assumption is that they were escaped pet or disposed of pets, and they bred like crazy down there. Burmese pythons, particularly. They're the yellowish white ones.
Yeah.
And they're pythons.
The pretty ones.
They can get they're all cool. I mean, snakes are cool. Anyway, the thing is, they're big. They get really big. There's no natural predators except, I guess, for the gators, but they're kind of evenly matched. So there are cases where the pythons eat the gators. There's cases where
pythons eating gators.
Oh yeah. They're like, raw, give me that tasty, yummy gator.
They're that big. Cases, their mouths can open like that big.
I mean, a python can easily be 20, 30 feet long, right? I mean, so yeah, they're monsters. Now the thing is, so they even have a python hunt annually, where Floridians go out into the bog. And they grab pythons. This is like a state sanctioned thing. It's a whole thing. I can't believe you don't know about this.
I don't know anything about
the Florida ecosystem is all about alligators and pythons duking it out. My favorite was there was footage of what I think it's a photo. I don't think it's video, but where a python had consumed the gator, but the gator was like not dead yet, and he chewed his way out of the python, but then he succumbed to exhaustion and died. So they both died.
died.
They both died. It was like an epic clash. Like you're evenly matched down for the count.
Alcatraz.
So it's really, I mean, it's kind of unfair. The pythons got short billing on alligator Alcatraz. It should have been alligator and python Alcatraz, or
very
at least alligators
non-inclusive.
and the rest, like in Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island. So yeah, this was a very like not inclusive billing of alligator Alcatraz, non-inclusive. So
Right.
we'll tell you what's happening down there. So obviously we're live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, the thumbs up, the everything, and share the video so we can continue to grow this
Like,
weird
follow,
little
and
show.
share, and do it
All
often.
of that.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Watch
so
us both on Rumble and on YouTube, but do both. I'm not even
kidding. Have us playing in the background. Just have us playing. Hey, I gotta
even if you don't want to listen, even if you don't have time, yeah, put it on. You can silence us. We sound better that way. My voice especially.
I gotta ask some of the Rumblers, especially because this pertains more to Rumble because it's for Rumble exclusives. What do you guys think of a special Rumble hour of a Clovis cam? Like seriously, just Clovis.
Yeah, we could talk about Clovis, but we would show Clovis for an hour.
Because Ted is convinced
Clovis's way of life. We would show Clovis doing Clovis-related things.
Ted is convinced because at the inception of the interwebs and social media, that it began based on cat videos, which is largely true. It was like cat memes, cat videos. It was like cat stuff. And he thinks that people would actually watch that. And he wants to experiment.
Yeah, I think people, I sense doubt, Manila.
So you think streaming viewers have not evolved in the past 20 years to go from cat videos and cat memes? Like, are those still the number one ranking videos? Like,
I don't know, but they're still very popular online. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, certainly I would say that internet taste has expanded, but not left cats behind. Cats are still a basic thing, but there's, lots of other animals as well.
Oh my God, the Rumble. Yeah, this is for Rumble exclusive. Yeah. The Rumble room is going, hell yes. Clovis cam.
I told you. Yay, thank you, Rumblers.
Wow. Okay. That's good to know.
Why are you so surprised?
Rumble exclusive. Because I love animals, but I mean, I'm more of like the Jacques Cousteau, Nat Geo, like that kind of animal video. Mm-hmm. The cat videos I never got into, even though that was like how the whole interwebs began, based on cat videos.
Vintage Lefty says streaming viewers definitely haven't evolved.
Really?
Scary Girl says yes.
There you go. So okay,
Clovis
so
we'll
play with
be your moments of zen.
That could be, Ted. Like just Clovis hanging out in the window. So okay,
Scary Girl says,
the Rumblers have
it. Laugh all you want. Clovis is a beauty. That's true. Scary Girl.
He is a good-looking cat. Okay, so this was specific to the Rumblers because it's for Rumble Premium purposes. And we have to hit these metrics.
By the way, before we jaws,
we're gonna ask you guys.
Before we jaws, a little bit of breaking news. Two major pieces of news. Economic news. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is signaling that the economy is slowing down, and he may be open to dropping interest rates. Also, the home of
Bolton,
John Bolton, is being raided. I think they're probably looking for it everywhere in his house to see if his brain has been mislaid.
No.
Because it's been missing at least since the buildup to the war in Iraq. So
for that long. Well, I think Ted, no. From my understanding,
and I think he called the FBI for help to look for it. Maybe his cat ate
From
it.
my understanding. From my understanding, the Bolton home raid began at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And what they're looking for, it's according to what Kash Patel hasn't said much on his Twitter. He just says like, no one's above the law. That's really vague, but not telling us why you're raiding Bolton's home.
What it's about.
Insiders are saying it's about about classified documents that
Yep.
were used in his book. And
That's right.
I'm going to tell the FBI right now, because I know you guys are watching, don't search the house, search the mustache. The documents are hidden in the mustache.
In the stash. Yeah.
The stash is in the stash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, has anyone thought to look there?
Well,
that is a mighty bold mustache.
Do you think in John Bolton's case, do you think that the carpet matches the drapes? Like,
you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to think about that. No.
Just wondering. The human walrus.
No. Yeah. I mean, like I said,
also, if it's anything like Joe Biden's house, distance. You gotta look under the car. They could be under the car.
Glove box. You got to look in the weird places. Maybe like your freezer.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Weird
Although
places.
Try to ignore all the body parts you're going to find in that freezer. That doesn't mean anything. That's whatever.
You think Bolton is like a Dahmer?
You know he's got some Iraqis like in there. You know.
Oh, that's very possible. But again, I'm going to say it's going to be like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where like you open his mustache, pull it apart,
really too bad that
and it leads to like a whole different dimension.
You know, at the Nuremberg trials, Julius Streicher, who was a newspaper publisher of a notoriously disgusting anti-Semitic newspaper called Der Stürmer, he was I think he was prosecuted successfully for that. Now he didn't personally, shoot any Jews or anything like that. He went down simply for having published a bunch of propagandistic shit. And I think on that point alone, John Bolton should be going to prison just for pushing for war and being such an influential voice, pushing for one war after another. I've never once heard this guy say about any foreign policy crisis. If you said like, oh, so about, there's a border dispute between Burkina Faso and the Ivory Coast. I don't even know if they border each other, but let's just assume that they do. So, what do you think? What do you think should happen? He's always going to be like, A, we got to have a war. B, the U.S. has to be involved. And C, we've got to escalate dramatically. Always, no matter what. No, and he has no other solution. If his wife is like, John, can you pick up half a chicken breast and also a gallon of whole milk today on your way home from work? He's like, okay, but I need a war. I need to be fully involved. I need to escalate, no matter what. And she's like, I just need the chicken. I just need the milk.
Can you just pick up dinner?
Could you just
lay
off?
True.
Yeah. If she's like, I need you to get busy with me tonight.
He's a lot. I'll tell you. I told you I met him that one time at the CPAC conference many years ago in Trump's first term. And he's very not like what you expect in person. He seems very quiet and meek almost. But then you see him go on TV and he's running his mouth about killing everybody and dropping bombs everywhere.
Like evil Walter Mitty.
It just doesn't fit. The guy that you see on interviews on TV, he's like this spitfire and this angry little old man with the big mustache.
Rush Limbaugh was like that. Rush Limbaugh was a very quiet man. Yeah, it happens. It happens. We should
in person is
this is
not
my
like
fault.
that.
We've been, but let's jaws it.
All right, let's go to the news.
News, stop the presses. Never heard this one before. The world's leading authority on food insecurity has confirmed a famine in Gaza. In a report published today, the UN-backed group of experts officially finds that over half, and this is disturbing, over 500,000 people in parts of North Gaza are at risk of dying from starvation, like now, like today, like next week, and hundreds of thousands more people face catastrophic shortages as the famine spreads to other areas. As this famine is entirely man-made, well, not really. It's made by Israelis. It can be halted and reversed. It's time for debate and the time for debate and hesitation has passed. Starvation is present and is rapidly spreading. The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC report says that famine, the most extreme classification of hunger, is occurring in Gaza Governorate and projected to expand to Deir, al-Balah, and Khan Younis governance by the end of September. Describing the situation as a race against time, this report says at least 132,000 children under the age of 5 could die from acute malnutrition in the coming months. This estimate has now doubled since the last IPC report in May, showing how drastically the conditions have worsened. Nearly 55,000 malnourished pregnant and breastfeeding women require an urgent nutrition response. The Gaza Health Ministry on Thursday said 271 people have died so far from famine, including 112 people. Manila, that's of course a drastic undercount, because that's only the people who make it to a hospital and get reported officially. If you're doing it in the ruins somewhere and you die, they don't count you. This is the first time famine has been confirmed in the Middle East, right? I'm going to say that again. This is the first time famine has ever been confirmed in the Middle East. This is a very troubled part of the world, and it's happened in a 25-mile long strip of land where trucks piled with thousands of tons of food are parked at border crossings because the Israelis will not let it in. Also, that's not Israeli food or Israeli aid. I want to say this is international food and aid that the Israelis are not allowing in. The Gazans now dying of starvation are never more than a few miles from warehouses filled with food that the Israelis won't let them have. This is the direct result of months of deliberate restrictions on aid, the destruction of Gaza's food, health, and water systems by the Israelis, and relentless bombardment. Chaja Doyen McKenna, CEO of Mercy Corps, said, "This is a man-made catastrophe, entirely preventable and entirely unconscionable." Hear, hear. Israel was quick to respond. Israel's foreign ministry hilariously accused the IPC of fake news, of publishing a tailor-made report to fit Hamas's fake campaign. They claim there is no famine in Gaza. I think they got that guy who used to be Saddam's spokesman to speak for them. COGAT, the Coordination of Government Activities in the Territories, the Israeli military organization that is supposed to oversee aid, but basically just blocks it, said the report is based on partial and unreliable sources.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire world's press, all of the aid agencies,
who are also starving,
all of the aid agencies,
themselves.
the UN, the ICC, and the ICJ, and 3/4 of the world's nations, and the UK, and Turkey, they're all lying sacks of shit. Only Israel, poor, sad Israel, is telling the truth. The Gazans are stuffing themselves. They need Ozempic. They're so eating so much that they're fat as shit. We'll get into that, what's happening to their vages later in the show. And like everything is A-OK, hunky-dory. Those kids are just like, they're just refuseniks.
They're crisis
not eating
actors.
All the yummy treats that the Israelis are sending them.
They're crisis actors, Ted.
Right, crisis actors.
You know, that's the thing.
What they are.
And also, you know, recently, Bibi Netanyahu, you know, he was rebuking.
Peter Ives says Baghdad Bob is now Jerusalem Jerry. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Bibi recently was all over the media. He put out basically a video press release saying, everything you're seeing, don't believe your lying eyes. That's not real. None of that. Not only is that not real, the alleged starvation are just kids with cerebral palsy. Like,
right.
Wait. So let me get this straight.
You can't have cerebral palsy and be hungry at the same time.
No, let me get this straight.
Because to have cerebral palsy is to have a full stomach.
No, cerebral palsy just automatically means you are malnourished to begin with. That's what we're seeing. He's like, these are kids with pre-existing conditions. So wait. Is the pre-existing condition being that you're born into starvation? Maybe that's what he
condition
means.
Is being Palestinian. Robbie, lead flavored treats are the best. Question: Pink Rose on YouTube is asking us, Manila, hey guys, how do you think this will stop in Gaza? I mean, I know how this is.
The UNGA starts in a couple weeks. The UNGA starts in a couple weeks. Personally, I don't foresee Washington stepping in to actually
they will be last
intervene.
No.
Ted and I have been saying this for weeks and weeks since the great white north in Canada came out and said that they're going to recognize Palestine at the UNGA next month. Australia has come out saying that.
France
France,
started it.
yeah, that was big. Oh, was France the first one? Yeah, they were big, and so they were instrumental in that. I think of the G7 nations that are a part of the UNGA, and I think the U.S. will be dead last and reluctant to even get involved.
No, they'll be the U.S. is their bitter enders. Now the thing is, Donald
Yeah.
Trump can read polls, and I know he's paying attention.
But does he
Look,
care though? He's a lame
will
duck.
this end? There's how should this end? This should end with the international community saying this is Rwanda 2.0. We're going to send in the UN with a joint military task force led by Russia, the United States, China, and Iran to invade Israel and overthrow its government and install a UN regime until a democratic Republic of Palestine from the river to the sea is encompassed with one person, one vote from the Jordan River all the way over to the Mediterranean. That's how it should happen. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that more people are going to die, but at some point, and I think that point, it's hard to guesstimate, but I would say that point is probably around spring of this next year, especially heading into the midterms, with Israel's approval rating in the United States now at 31% and plunging, that Donald Trump is going to read the polls and finally cut off military assistance and financial assistance to Israel. And when that happens, that will basically be the end, because Israel is the biggest welfare state in the world.
I still don't believe that they're going to get that far.
Well, we'll see.
Because the power of Mossad and the levels of blackmail and compromat,
for sure,
here in Washington.
Yeah, but the thing is, Manila, the Roman Empire is undefeatable and rules the world until it doesn't. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, so the situations seem like they're never going to change until they do, and they will. So, I could be totally wrong. I could be optimistic about how quickly this is going to happen. I'm not really being optimistic. This should have happened a long time ago. But
you were also optimistic about the Ukraine war ending sooner.
That's true. So I am a perennial optimist.
You're an optimist. I'm not.
Be wrong. I could happily.
I'm Miss Worst Case Scenario.
I totally admit that I could be wrong. But if I had to put my own money on this, I would say, roughly by May, the Israelis will have been cut off, and at that point, they're going to freak out, and there's going to be a move inside Israel. It'll wake up the Israeli people. It'll wake up the Israeli opposition. They'll overthrow. They'll get rid of Netanyahu, and then we're going to see some things change. That's what I think.
I do think Netanyahu, part of the reason he has to keep the war going is to try to save his ass from prison for corruption, he and his wife.
No doubt.
So that's part of the reason. But I think the U.S. ambassadors and the American UN ambassador is going to come back from the UNGA, come back to Washington and be like, look, Donald, here's the temperature of the room. This is where everyone's moving. France, even the Germans are like, they're giving this mushy kind of tacit support of a Palestinian state.
The UNGA is going to be a game changer, Manila.
So I think they're going to come back with the temperature change to tell Donald, and I think
he cares about polls.
He's going to make some calls. He's going to make some calls to Bibi.
He's going to say, cut it out. Cut it out.
But I think the real change, Ted, is not going to be, obviously not led by Washington. I think what's going to happen is that Macron, he's also a lame duck. He's going to have to lead the charge, and he's going to have to somehow strong arm Washington into stopping the spoon feed of Benjamin Netanyahu, which will then starve Bibi and push him out of office and throw him to the wolves outside of the Knesset. The people in Israel are very unhappy with him, either for not returning all the hostages or or for his own, because they're opposition, and they don't like how he's been running the country and his super far right stance, and there's a myriad of reasons of why people in Israel dislike Bibi, and they want to see him go to prison. Not necessarily for
No,
Gaza,
they don't. No,
for
they
other
don't.
things.
Even the left doesn't care about this. Just a little reminder down memory lane, Manila. On October 9th, 2 days after the October 7th attack in 2023, Yoav Gallant, the defense minister of Israel, said, "There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we will act accordingly." Don't tell me there wasn't genocidal intent from the very beginning. Israel Katz, energy minister, October 12th, 2023, he said no humanitarian aid would be allowed into Gaza. He said humanitarian aid to Gaza, no electric switch will be turned on, no water tap will be opened, no fuel truck will enter until the Israeli abductees are returned home. On October 13th, he said, "We will win. They will not receive a drop of water or a single battery until they leave the world." Israel Herzog, president of Israel, October 13th, 2023. It is not true, this rhetoric about civilians not being aware, not involved. It's absolutely not true. They could have risen up. They could have fought against that evil regime which took over Gaza in a coup d'etat. When you have a missile in your goddamn kitchen and you want to shoot it at me, am I allowed to defend myself? In other words, he's implicating that the civilians are guilty of the regime that, by the way, they didn't get to vote for by his own account. And finally, Heritage Minister, November 4th, just a month after the attack in 2023, Amahai Eliyahu, he said, dropping a nuclear bomb was one of the options. And he said, there are no non-combatants in Gaza. So,
my God.
Now the thing is, let me just say, so a child, a 2-month-old baby who's starving to death is a combatant, according to these
It's an enemy combatant, Ted. They're born out of the womb.
None of
the womb.
None of the individuals that I mentioned has ever been sanctioned or disciplined or demoted or fired since they made those intemperate remarks. None of them. Several of them have been promoted. Okay, so there's no. This was the intent from day one, from hour zero.
Alpine Lake in the Rumble Room says Bibi the Butcher is moderate compared to the rest of the Knesset. That's
a fair point. And so the point is, the Israelis have been dying to do this for years. The war did not begin on October 7th, 2023. I mean, you can't pen in 2.3 million people behind a wall. They also cut off the access to the sea so that the Palestinians, the Gazans, couldn't fish either.
Don't dare fish.
And and you can't surround an entire population like that. A place the size of Manhattan with a similar population, cut them off and say, "Fuck you! You'll have no jobs. You'll have no food. You'll have no water. You'll have no electricity, no fuel. You just stay there behind there and fucking rot and die, and think that they're not going to try to break out at any point or in time." I'm going to say this, and I wrote it 2 weeks ago. Hamas actually had a moral duty, maybe not to kill civilians, but they definitely had a moral duty to break out of the Gaza Strip and break down that security wall in order to try to liberate its people and change the game. They had to. I mean, they're the governing authority, and their people were being severely oppressed by the Israelis. They had to do something, and I argue with the execution of it. I don't think you go after civilians. But look, if they had killed no one but IDF soldiers, I would have had no problem with it at all.
Yeah, I mean,
and also let's not forget
an enemy combatant.
A sizable number of the Israeli civilians who were killed by the IDF.
Yes, and let's not forget that a great portion of the youth population that would have been there at this festival are either active or inactive at that moment. IDF soldiers anyway, because it is mandatory.
Yeah, that's
Israel.
True. Yeah, military service is mandatory. Now, but still,
there.
Although I don't want to go that far, because that's kind of like implying that any country that has a draft, that basically anyone who's of military age is a fair target. And unless you're actually wearing a uniform, you're not. So
I agree. I'm not for killing random people at a music festival or kidnapping them or whatever. But I'm even less about this group punishment that Bibi has basically forced onto an innocent population. And by their own count, Ted, by their own count, more than 80% of the deaths in Gaza are children, women and children. 80%. So it's like you can't have collateral damage be this high where it's pushing up against 90% for this long. You can't keep doing that. It's one thing if it was like one airstrike that you said, okay,
Manila,
the collateral damage was like
this is
85%.
not collateral damage. This is policy. Okay.
And, I know that, but that's what they're saying.
And there's a million.
The leak came out this week. The leak came out that showed that by the Knesset's own count, that over 85% of the accounted for dead, the 53,000 accounted for dead, were actually women and children.
Look, Manila, nobody's firing back at the Israelis, right? Hamas is in their tunnels. No one's shooting at the IDF. The IDF is doing all the shooting. It's not a war. It's a slaughter. No. It's a genocide. It's a war.
Well, Ted, it's like when I'm at war with the ants in my kitchen.
Well, we're the Jews who were in the Warsaw Ghetto in World War II, surrounded by the Nazis in a wall that the Nazis built. Were they fighting a war against the Nazis? No, they were just victims. That's what's happening here. And
all right. It's a heavy topic, and I do hope we see some actual substantive language come from the UNGA next month.
No one should have anything to do with Israel. Israel should not receive any foreign aid. It should not receive any military assistance.
It should become a pariah state.
It should be cut off. No one should do business with them.
If ever there were a pariah state,
and the irony here is there's I'll tell you, there is more opposition to Hamas in Gaza than there is to this genocidal policy in Israel from the Israeli people. 80% of the Israeli people support the war against Gaza. There has been no protest of any size against the genocide. The only protests you see are because they internal domestic hatred of Netanyahu's party. They don't like Likud, and they want the hostages back. And they're saying it's only about the hostages. It's all about Israelis. They don't care about the Palestinians. So I mean, there have been anti-Hamas protests during the war, which has to have been dangerous, among Palestinians in Gaza. So I mean, if anyone wants to make the collateral damage argument, Hamas is in a better place to make that argument than the Israelis are.
Yeah. All right. We got to switch gears to something.
Sorry, I'm in a mood. All right. So
this is.
All right, Manila, let's read about something even more frightening. Maybe not.
It's pretty. It's gross. It's gross in its own way.
Yeah.
Okay. So I teased this yesterday. Because it's Fun Friday, right? So it's not so fun talking about starving babies in the tens of thousands in Gaza.
If you're Israeli, you love it.
Well,
but anyway,
yeah, but we don't love that on this show. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, Ted. So there's this new thing, you guys, called Ozempic Vag. Okay, so what is that? So the story goes. First, they dropped, and then they drooped. We're talking about Ozempic Vag. Ozempic and other GLP-1 drugs have become extremely popular for their ability to manage not only type 2 diabetes symptoms, but spur weight loss. A recent study found that about 4% of Americans took these meds 4%. Ted, we have a population of about 330 million people. 4%, do the math. Ted's the math person. That's a lot. It's a lot of people taking these drugs.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
What is 4%? So,
so 10% of 330 million is 33 million. So 33 divided by 4 is about a little bit over 8. So 8 million people.
Wow. Okay, so 4% of America took these meds last year. So as GLP-1s have become widely used, There's been a corresponding increase in awareness of their potential risks and side effects. And one to add to the list is Ozempic vulva or Ozempic vagina. Quote, the rapid weight loss can cause visible skin sagging, laxity, and wrinkles throughout the body, says Dr. Sherry Ross, an OBGYN back home in Santa Monica, California. Quote, all areas of the body can show visible skin changes in response to significant weight loss, she says, including the lower belly, the pubic mons, and the inner and outer labia. The vagina is surrounded by two sets of lips, as commonly referred to, or folds of skin. The labia majora are the outer, larger folds, while the labia minora are the inner, smaller folds. The extent from the mons pubis, the rounded, fatty area over the pubic bone. Some GLP-1 users have complained that their weight loss has led to a decrease in the volume of the labia majora, causing it to appear deflated or aged. Labia puffing may be the answer, guys, or gals, rather. The procedure restores volume and fullness to the labia majora via dermal fillers or fat grafting. Dr. Michael Terry, a board-certified OBGYN in LA, and of course, all these doctors are in LA, Ted, like no surprise.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Notes on his website that the fillers used in labia puffing are comparable to facial fillers. The tiny injections can last up to 8 months. A session per session. So you do one session, you're good. Your labia are looking fine for 8 months. and you don't have any recovery time, he says. With fat grafts, a doctor injects a small amount of fat from the patient's taken from the patient's thigh or abdomen or wherever else that they have enough fat, and then they inject that fat instead of a filler into the labia, or maybe I was always taught it was called the mons venera, but okay, so the mons pubis. Okay, so you inject it there.
Pubis, yeah.
The benefit of this treatment is that it does not pose risks for rejection because it uses the patient's own fat. The fat is easily reabsorbed by the body.
You use the fat of a Gazan child, but that's
different. There's no fat to remove there.
Oh,
Ted.
right, good point.
Labiaplasty, another option to reshape the labia, and vaginal tightening to restore firmness to the vaginal canal may also provide relief. Dr. Justin Perrone, a specialist plastic surgeon in Down Under, in Australia.
Nicely said. Nicely done.
He's fielded a surge, he says, of vaginal rejuvenation consultation appointments from, I guess Australia's having a similar problem. The ladies there using GLP-1s, they're dropping the weight and their vaginas are sagging. So I guess Dr. Perrone there is like, he says, I personally see these requests several times a week. Other unusual side effects of GLP-1 drugs, which suppress appetite by mimicking a hormone that the body naturally produces after eating, include Ozempic finger, Ozempic breasts, Ozempic face. I've seen plenty of that. And Ozempic butt. So basically, I didn't understand Ozempic finger, but it was because your fingers, well, obviously, when you lose weight, you don't lose, there's no such thing as losing weight like in spots, right? Like you can't, when people tell you, oh, yeah, you buy this like if your weight loss belt.
Oh, I need to lose weight off my tummy, but I don't want to lose weight off of anything.
You lose weight everywhere. Mm-hmm. So Ozempic finger is when your fingers get too skinny now and then your jewelry doesn't fit anymore. Ozempic butt starts, your booty starts sagging and the skin starts sagging. So this whole thing though, and by the way, Ozempic costs like north of $1,000 a month, Ted, and you have to be on it forever. You and I have discussed this. Your body immediately responds as soon as you're off of it. As soon as you get off of it. So unless you're prepared to spend $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, or you make massive lifestyle changes.
It's like a smoking habit used to be, when people smoked.
God, but Ted, $1,000 a month, like that's outrageous. But so now all these people are concerned, and of course, it's happening back home in LA, where the women are like, "Oh, I'm thin now. I can wear my bikinis and whatever," and then they're noticing their labia sagging down, just looking, like, I can't believe, Ted, this is like the excesses of Western society. Like, this is what we're worried about when the story we just last covered was like, can I get some water to drink so I don't die?
That'd be awesome. Water would be cool. Yeah.
Water would be great. But here in LA, well, not here, but I mean, back home in LA, the women are like, oh, my Cartier bracelet doesn't fit my arm anymore. I'm so skinny. I'm so skinny.
My clit ring fell right off.
Oh God. So this is a thing, Ted. What else do you foresee people? I mean, Ozempic face. I've seen.
Yeah,
I know
we have seen that. Basically, you end up looking like Anthony Weiner. You know, you get or Cuomo, right? That's sort of like.
Yeah, that hollowed out. Look.
The Scream poster.
The non-designer face version of that used to be called methy.
Right. Good point.
I mean, seriously.
And the thing, meth is better because at least you get an enjoyable experience. It's much cheaper, so it's like twofer. You're high and you're losing weight. So
look, so the
you also lose weight from your teeth because your teeth fall out.
I was going to say your teeth fall out, but however, Ozempic does. I think, if I'm not confusing it with these other injectables that you take home, is that your bone density wears down over time.
Okay, but we got to break this down.
But bones are heavy, Ted. You want to be skinny, right?
Like, look, Ozempic finger, I can see the practical consideration if you wear rings, which I don't. But so the question here is, as a person who takes an interest in vaginas, it's like so
as a vagina fan,
as a huge fan, I'm not really sure to what extent people who are interested in. I mean, look. First of all, for the sex part, for penetration, this is not going to have any effect. So this is really about the aesthetics for the person who is slurbling the vagina.
Yeah, but like how droopy term. How droopy of a vag are we talking?
And I just don't know I'm a visual person, but I don't know to what extent like the visual is really an important part of the experience. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't. The visual of the vagina is not like the visual of the boobs is far more front and present, right? I mean, it's like a girl takes her top off and you see her boobs and you're like, okay.
You're like, oh, wow.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Like nice breasts.
And if things are super sagacious, then you're sort of like, that's going to be more disappointing. I mean, because basically you're way up in there, right? When you're giving oral sex to a girl, you don't see anything except for half a second.
No, wait a minute though.
You get in there and it's like, boom. Right?
So let's say you were a very obese woman.
Thigh. You can't see anything. Your eyes are usually closed.
I'm as the sole owner of a vagina here on the show.
You don't know that.
I think I can guess reasonably safe bet
in this day and age,
that I'm the only biological vagina owner on this show. So, I mean, I'm only guessing. I mean, I guess I've been lucky to have been born with like skinny genes, genes. But I would only imagine that if you were a very heavy person, a heavy woman at one point, you take the Ozempic, you lose all this weight, right? And you've seen like the videos of like people losing weight and they got the arm flabby thing, going like underneath the bicep, right? It's like just skin. It's just skin flapping around. So in my mind, that's kind of what's probably going on with the labia, the outer labia.
But what effect does it have? I mean,
here's the thing.
Who cares?
I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. I can't, in defense of my fellow vain Californians, if you have like the arm saggy skin there happening down under, and now you're thin,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's like what happens with men and your testicles and it like droops into the toilet. Maybe it's like gets splashed like by toilet water.
Oh,
Maybe
come
it's
on.
uncomfortable in your
That's
underwear. I don't know,
ridiculous.
but I mean,
It would
what do
never,
you, how is
it
that
could never go that
ridiculous?
low. It could never hang
How
that
is it
low.
ridiculous? What if your skin, I mean, I don't know because there's no pictures of people with Ozempic vag. I can only compare it to the loose, like, this arm flab when people lose weight. That's perfectly like I can, if you're that big and that your labia fat has shrunk that much and you have all of this loose skin, I can't imagine that would be comfortable sitting down in a chair if you have
Riding a bike.
like, yeah. So
No, I think
I'm
that could be,
joking
that
that
could have
it's,
a that could have a practical impact for
yeah. So I,
sure.
I joke that it's like vanity because we just came off of a literally a
And also,
starvation
who knows?
story,
I
but
mean, also, I mean, there's an eco balance down there in terms of you need a certain amount of moisture to stay healthy down there, but
yeah, that's true.
and so you want, so it could affect your biome. That's
But
all
so Ted,
true.
how come, why haven't they brought up like, can there be such a thing as Ozempic testicles?
Well, I certainly hope not, but
Well, I mean, do men,
I don't know that there's fat really in the
oh,
testicles. I mean, the testes are,
it's just skin.
two things surrounded by like
Yeah, the sac.
a thing, a sack of skin. I don't think there's really much fat to be gone, so I doubt it.
Hmm.
I think it has to be, the reason that, like, say, you
Okay.
have Ozempic face is because there's a lot of fat
Yeah.
like in your cheeks and stuff.
And fat in your face
In fact,
represents youthfulness.
if you remember from the movie and the book Alive about the guys the rugby
Eating
players
the
who
booty?
crashed in the Andes, yeah, they ate the cheeks and the butts first,
Eat the
right?
booty. Oh, I
Both
love
cheeks.
cow cheek. I love cow cheek. Have you ever had cow
Mm,
cheek?
no,
I
that's
forget
not
what
my
it's.
kink.
No, have you not been to a Mexican restaurant that serves that? It's so tender, it's so delicious. It's a delicacy. It's quite expensive to order that cut, but it's so good. But it's because it's super fatty. So I don't know. A certain level of fat is good. Ozempic, I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Being on a drug for a lifetime cannot be good for you. Like if you're 30 years old and you're trying to lose weight and this is how it worked for you, I beg of you to change your lifestyle while you're on Ozempic, get used to it, and then get off of it. Like it's so bad for
Yeah,
you,
but then
Ted. It is so
all your
bad for
weight
you.
comes back. Yeah, no, I think
No,
it's
no,
like,
not if you completely overhaul your diet.
well,
What's
sure.
wrong with America is
Hmm.
we won't overhaul how we
Yeah,
live,
you have
and
to
then we
use it
just
as a
take a needle. Like,
you have to use it as a, if you're going to use it as a jump start. By the
yeah,
way, Manila, yesterday there was an op-ed, I believe, in the New York Times that literally was calling not for Medicare for all, but for Ozempic for all. It was literally saying that every single American should be able to get Ozempic for
we're
free,
entitled.
covered by the government, because it's so great, it's so effective. This is when when you read something like that, that like society has gone off the rails, because I mean that's not true, and that can't be
Ozempic for
true.
all.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
by
my
the way, and
god.
it's so new. The effects are so unknowable, and anything that you
Ugh,
have to keep you have to keep taking indefinitely can't possibly be good for you. I mean, I remember this
no,
shit about fen. Oh, it's the best thing in the
it
world.
was awesome.
Yeah, yes. And now fen's basically good if you're still alive for a lawsuit settlement, according to all the daytime
I
TV
didn't I
I
didn't
watch.
need fen Ted, obviously, but I got to tell you, it really was a bump, and it's a lot cheaper than blow.
All right, well, yeah, because it was just speed, basically. Um, I mean, I swear to God, I could find this piece, but you'll just have to take my word for it. We have other stuff to cover, and we should get to it. Like, I just want to say,
Let's
though,
get to it.
from a practical point of view, I don't know that this really, I think if you're a lady and your vag gets like all droopy, it's not going to prevent any good, like, healthy, lusty lesbian or heterosexual or bisexual dude from wanting to go down on you. I don't think it'll make any difference. I think it's like, for a half
You don't
second,
think
you
it'll make a
might be
difference
like,
for a bedding partner?
ew. And like, look, I'm going to go, and not all vaginas look that
Not
great
ew.
anyway. But like even the ones that don't look great sometimes taste great. So, and vice versa. So it's more about the
What is
taste
this
and the
show?
smell.
Friday.
It's really about the taste and
Friday.
the smell much more than it is about the
Then the
looks.
presentation.
The
Okay.
aesthetics of the aesthetics of
Is
it are
secondary.
not tertiary. Quite really.
Tertiary.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, no, taste and smell are what matters here.
The inviting aroma.
Well, I mean, if it was like Ozempic,
I'm
like,
a straight
okay,
woman. I
Ozempic
don't.
penis
I'm
could be
like,
a major
oh
problem.
no.
I don't know how much fat there is in the penis, but if it
Yeah, I
shrinks,
don't know.
that could be, then it would be
I'm curious to
shrinking like
know
the
about that.
American dream. That would be bad.
All right. We got to go more in California, Ted. More in California.
All right, let's go.
That's
All right,
a you.
that's
a
a
you
me. All right,
story.
here we go. A person in California recently tested positive for, wait for it, the plague, according to county health officials in El Dorado. The individual has been treated and is recovering at home. About 7 people get infected by the bacterium responsible for plague, Yersinia pestis, every year, according to the CDC. Most cases happen in the West Coast in states like Arizona, California, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. In July, however, an Arizonan died from plague. Manila, quick test. Do you know where the plague originated? Historically, where it first started. It's not Europe.
Aren't there other plagues? Not like the
bubonic.
Well,
plague, the bubonic
India.
plague, the one that we care about. Close. Kazakhstan. So that's where
really?
it's from, and Kazakhstan still has a lot. And it traveled along
I
the
know
Silk.
the brown rat.
It traveled along the Silk Road to
UK.
It traveled along the Silk Road to Europe.
That makes sense.
So anyway, people can get it after being bitten by infected fleas or touching infected animals like rats, mice, squirrels, chipmunks, prairie dogs, rabbits, mountain lions, ferrets, and even, and this is extremely disturbing, dogs and extremely disturbing cats. El Dorado County health officials said in a statement.
Wait, our own pets can carry the plague?
1,000,000%. The health officials say that the person was probably infected by a flea while camping, something that people shouldn't do if they can avoid it. Camping. It's like where a person who has a fully paid rent or mortgage goes out and pretends to be homeless outside. So anyway, plague is naturally present in many parts of California, including higher elevation areas of El Dorado County. That's interesting because Kazakhstan is high elevation. There are 3 types of plague. So in case you see a plague, you'll know which plague that you're seeing. There's bubonic, which caused widespread death throughout the world in the 14th century. Septicemic, which happens when the infection spreads to your blood. And pneumonic, when it gets into your lungs. All forms cause fever and weakness. More than 80% of plague cases in the U.S. are bubonic. Dr. Scott Roberts, medical director of infection prevention at Yale New Haven Health System and assistant professor of infectious diseases at the Yale School of Medicine, says that the bubonic plague is centered in your lymph nodes. The bacteria travels to the closest lymph nodes in the body from where the infection triggering bite occurs, which leads to an inflammatory reaction, including swelling of the nodes. Plague then can then get into your blood, in which case it becomes septicemic, and then from there it can get into your lungs, leading to pneumonic, which leads to shortness of breath and chest pain. Only pneumonic can be spread from one infected person to another, since the bacteria can be transmitted in droplets, like COVID, that are released when a person sneezes or coughs. This can cause disease in as little as a day after transmission. The other forms are not contagious from person to person. Some species do get sick from the bacterial infection, but others appear to be able to manage low-level mid-infections, which makes them carriers. Now, Manila, cats in particular seem to be susceptible to infection, making them potential transmitters to people. Is there a vaccine? There used to be, but neither the WHO nor the U.S. recommends it. The U.S. stopped making the vaccine available in 1999 due to safety concerns. Researchers are exploring ways to develop more effective vaccines. If something happens to 7 people a year in a country of 330 million people, I'm not sure we all need to get vaccinated for it.
No. No. But it would be good, Ted, just to have the vaccines on tap, like just a couple
And for
vials.
people who live in the Southwest, yeah.
Just a couple vials. I didn't know that it was like a Southwest thing because I don't ever remember being educated about that as a kid. Like, hey, plague can still happen here on the West Coast. Like, no one ever told us that. But yeah, I went down the rabbit hole yesterday of like the weird diseases. I was like, the fucking plague, what? And so apparently a lot of historical yuckies that we thought have been eradicated or just kind of, phased out with the advent of, like sewage systems and stuff like that. They're back on the rise in America. Like, I think I read something like, you remember that brain-eating amoeba we were talking about?
Yeah.
It's found in now a total of 23 states in their waters.
Oh yeah, no, it's getting worse as the climate warms because it's a warm water thing.
So,
Protozoa, tasty.
Ooh,
All right, Manila,
fun.
take it away for our final topic.
All right. Speaking of warm waters, a federal judge in Miami gave the state of Florida 60 days to clear out the immigrant detention facility, lovingly referred to as Alligator Alcatraz, handing environmentalists and the Miccosukee tribe, is that how it's pronounced? Miccosukee tribe of Indians, a win. A win because they got in this clash with Governor Ron DeSantis over the environmental impacts of this makeshift site. That it was, federally protected land in the Everglades. The ruling late Thursday from U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams, which forbids state officials from moving any other migrants there, deals a blow to what had become a marquee symbol of President Trump's immigration policy. The environmentalists who sued called it, quote, a huge relief for millions of people who love the Everglades. Quote, this brutal detention center was burning a hole in the fabric of life that supports our most iconic wetland and a whole host of endangered species, from majestic Florida panthers to wizened wood storks, says attorney. Wizened?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that word. Wizened? Wizened wood stork.
Like for example, it would be used in after I took Ozempic, my vagina was wizened.
So what's a wizened wood?
Like sort of worn out and old, like usually referring to a living person or a thing, like a wizened crone or something like that.
Well, what a weird way to describe a wood stork. This attorney,
that could be an Ozempic stork. You don't know that.
Could be giving them to the animals now.
Those storks those storks are famously vain.
They should work on that gullet that they have.
Yeah. They're like me. I'm not one to judge.
So the judge's order came just in time to stop it all from unraveling, says that attorney. The state filed a notice of appeal with the U.S. Court of Appeals, 11th Circuit, less than an hour after that judge.
Will not work. Waste of taxpayer money.
Well, DeSantis did not immediately comment. In that ruling, Judge Williams said an environmental assessment was required before the site could have been erected or should have been erected, she says, and DeSantis or the defendants chose not to do that. So she says, yeah, you guys had to do XYZ first,
Fucking
and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Despite what DeSantis described as a facility that would have, quote, zero impact on the surrounding wetlands, Williams cited testimony, and the project will have, she says, considerable environmental impacts and should have been reviewed by relevant agencies. The project, quote, creates irreparable harm in the form of habitat loss and increased mortality to endangered species in the areas, including the Florida panther. The isolated airstrip sits in Big Cypress National Preserve near the border with Everglades National Park. A 10,500 foot runway is all that remains of a 1960s plan to build the world's largest airport.
People were
there
then too.
Okay, that's lame. Environmentalists led by renowned Everglades conservationist Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, named from the school, like that's what the school is named after, managed to thwart the project and get the federal government to protect nearly 1 million wetland acres the organization Douglas created to fight the jetport. Friends of the Everglades was among the group that sued over alligator Alcatraz. Now, worth noting, alligator Alcatraz has no electricity, so everything is powered by generators, including portable air conditioners. Drinking and bathing water has to be trucked in. The sewage, trash, and wastewater has to get trucked out. So
it's a fucking super fun site, that place. I mean, let's not even get into
utilities,
the human rights abuses, which are frankly, a core feature, not a bug in alligator. That's the whole point of alligator Alcatraz. The fact that you name it alligator Alcatraz tells you everything you need to know. But honestly, these people, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, are retards. They should. I mean, look, the Everglades is literally the biggest, most famous, most sensitive wetlands in the United States. You can't build in wetlands if you have a fucking pond in the back of your house. You have to often have it's subject to federal or state regulations or both. Now, this is the fucking Everglades. So, like, you build a giant facility there. Of course, you have to get an environmental impact statement or 60 of them before you can start construction. They're like, oh, we should do what we want. And I mean, of course, it's going to be struck down. It violates all manner of EPA regulations and federal law. It's got to be closed. I mean, there's no court, including the U.S. Supreme Court, that's going to sign off on this thing. The law is crystal clear. The public interest is crystal clear. People want clean, they want to protect, an important national park. I mean, it's literally the lungs of Florida's ecosystem. It's absurd that they built this thing without, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. First. They're idiots. I mean, I don't even understand. Like, how stupid would you have to be?
Well,
what a waste of taxpayer money.
I know.
What a waste of attention.
Stunt.
It was a stunt. I mean, exactly. And DeSantis is already on, building a new one. I don't know where he's going to put the new one. Probably on top of a, endangered reef or something. But I mean, they're idiots. I mean, there should be a penalty for a state legislature or a Congress or a governor. They should go to jail or they should be fined if they, if something that was brazenly illegal or unconstitutional, they push it through anyway. They don't, check it out first. They should be punished. I mean, it's a waste of taxpayer money. That's my main concern here.
Well, Ted, I'll tell you where they're going to go. I'm trying to find, I forget the name, which country, but just this morning, a 7th African nation has made a deal with Donald Trump to accept third party migrants. So whoever the U.S. ships out that are not from any of these African countries, we now have a 7th country in Africa that has made a deal with Donald Trump to say, yes, we will take.
It's Uganda.
Uganda. Thank you. Yes, Uganda. Now we have 7 countries.
Too bad Idi Amin's not still there in charge, because he would have eaten them.
Oh my God. So that's what's going to happen to them, Ted. So right in time, just in the nick of time, alligator Alcatraz has to close. So we'll just pick them up and take them to Uganda.
Right. That's
why not?
So normal.
It just
makes so much sense.
Why not? This is 2025. We're worried about vaginoplasties from losing too much weight.
Robbie's right. I don't understand this whole point of why not just send them home. I think I don't get it. I mean, just
to be mean.
Home.
It's just to be cruel. You're shipping them.
It's meant to have a deterrent effect. And I think what people fail to see, I think deterrent effects are rarely really work, but especially not when you're talking about a population as marginal as illegal immigrants who often don't speak English well or at all. And so they don't really know. They're not watching us here on the TMI show. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that if they get picked up by ICE, they could be sent to fucking Uganda or South Sudan. They don't know. So it's like nothing. You can't have a deterrent effect if everyone's ignorant of your deterrent.
Well, a lot of the rage, and you guys know. Okay, I'll let Robbie's itching to get a word in here. And Robbie, hold on. So Robbie, wait a minute. So part of the major influx that we saw came from social media, when you saw a lot of these illegal migrants were like flashing like dollar bills and whatever onto their social media, onto their TikToks, onto their whatever, and they were providing step by, this is on TikTok, right? Like TikTok is cracking down on anybody making judgments about Israel, but TikTok has continued to allow illegal migrants to provide step-by-step like how-to videos, how to come across the US border, how to come through, when you get to Mexico, you take this left turn, and then you go in this tunnel, and then you show up here and surprise, you're in New York City, and then they'll give you, a $3,000 debit card and look at bling bling, right? Those videos like that were allowed to stay up, and that's what all the younger people in these Latin countries were watching during the Biden years, and they took the advice of these TikTokers and came here. Take the videos down.
You put me in charge, I'll fix this problem in 6 months.
I know. Robbie's deterrent system is a full-on alligator moat. Forget the wall. Just put a moat in there.
Well, if you're being invaded, what do you do with invaders? Serious question. If you are being invaded, how do you handle an invader? Ted,
it's not a serious question. It's not an invasion.
To hell, it's not.
An invasion is by an organized armed force.
Okay, so we have got millions of people who were shipped by train, by truck, by every means possible here for one express purpose. That purpose is to weaken the United States internally.
No, the purpose is to make money and find work. That's the purpose of it. That's why. And to reduce American wages.
That's literally what I just said.
Okay,
that is literally what I just said.
That's an interpretation.
A report yesterday shows that there's at least the number of unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. has now topped 14 million people in 2023. Under Donald Trump, more than 180,000 people have been deported, reaching almost 1,500 removals per day. That's a clip that we last saw from the Obama administration. So now he's on pace with Obama, getting there.
He still has to catch up. Anyway, it's not. I mean, look, just because something's not an invasion doesn't mean it's not a problem. You're not a nation state if you don't. The whole definition of a nation state is that you control your borders. You decide who comes in, who comes out. Right? That's what a nation state does. And
why are you being racist?
And the U.S. has not been doing that. So, on that point, I agree. But I mean, but the point is, it doesn't make any sense at all when you decide to expel people, and who are illegal immigrants, to send them to a third party. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I agree with you there. And what the argument is that a lot of the countries these people are from will not take their own citizens back. Okay, fine. You don't play that game.
Some.
Then I will.
They're going to Seacot. They're going to Uganda now.
Well, I don't care where they go as long as they're not here. But the first place should be back to the shithole from which they were spawned.
Well, the U.S.
That's my point.
The U.S. could pick up the phone and negotiate with these countries.
But let me ask you guys this: is the idea of let's say you're from El Salvador, and the Trump ICE goons pick you up, and they drop you off in the new country, the new third country of Uganda. Mm-hmm. You go to Uganda. Well, are you going to make a TikTok video and be like, I'm fucked. I'm dropped in Uganda. Like, I'm in Uganda. But then you also, had he been dropped off back in El Salvador, isn't there a good likelihood that he would just come up the path again through the
which
Darien Gap, and
In which case,
from
in which case
Uganda.
you go Vlad style and you impale him on the
but
Rio
which is
Grande.
which I'm saying that's
Problem
why
solved.
they're maybe why
You
Trump
said you
is
didn't
saying
like
let's
violence,
ship
I
them to
thought.
Uganda. Send them to Uganda, is then they can't hitchhike their way back up the Darien Gap.
I'm all in favor of self-defense, Ted. But my default temperament is pretty much I'm a relatively unviolent kind of guy. However, self-defense
So
is something I 100% support. And
that's not self-defense.
The hell it's not. If you come into my country uninvited, I have the right to uninvite you.
The person who's being the illegal migrant who was coming into the U.S., they're not really anymore in a significant number. Those people are basically luggage being shipped. If you want to go after the root cause, you've got to go after the entire industry of the coyotes and the governments that allow this.
Too.
I mean, honestly, like for example, the Mexican government allows people to transit across their territory over over thousands of miles, literally. Sure. It's like they shouldn't be allowed to do that. If I were the president, I would tell President Sheinbaum, it stops now, right? Like you can't agree. So to me, that's the cause. That's the root cause of the problem.
Oh, I completely agree. There's no disagreement with
I don't blame the person who's just poor and like lived in Honduras, and then Obama overthrew their democratically elected president to install an asshole and then let the gangs run wild and destroy the country. And that person's like, fuck it, I need work. There's no work here anymore. I'm going to go to the U.S. I might be able to find a job there. I don't fault that person at all. I also do fault, however, the U.S. border authorities for allowing that person in.
Right. There are multiple layers of fault here and failures. Let's agree to that there are several layers and layers and layers of failed policy from so many parts. A lot of it stems from U.S. intervention, let's be honest, from like the 1980s. And that's why you started seeing all the Latinos. The Latinos began walking north.
Hey, we've got an ad. I'm reading it.
All right. So we got to do that, and then we got to bounce.
Okay, here we go. Hey, you. Here's. Hey, you. There's this video. It's from Chuck Norris. Yeah, it was insane. He's in his 80s, and he still feels like he's in his 50s. It was pretty shocking. He had some pretty cool tips in there on what he's doing, including these 3 foods that he avoids like the plague. He explained all the things he was doing, and it was super simple. They're so easy, and you can do them right at home. When I first saw this, I knew I had to share this with you all. Since what happened to Chuck could also happen for you too. But with any new method, of course, your results can vary, but the video is definitely worth checking out. Watch his method now by clicking the link in the chat or scanning the QR code on your screen. You won't believe how simple it is.
Okay. Well, you got to admit, old Chuck looks great. 85.
Yeah, well,
looks great.
That's true. He does look
good. For him. All right. So that's a great way to
Ozempic cock for him.
He looks great. He's 85 years old. He's still like lean and fit and has some muscle mass. So good for Chuck.
What do you think? Like what's he been doing for work for the last 40 years? Do you think? Does he just live?
Do you think he's living off residuals?
That's what I want to know. Or if he's or he was just a good investor and he saved all his money.
That's true. I don't know. His stuff still airs all around the world. You know that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So he probably does get a lot of residuals
although most of the world where he airs, I'm sure he's getting no copyright anything.
Right? Well, yeah. Maybe in the Western world, yes.
Watching it on like on a what were those things called? Oh, video discs. You know the big ones.
The big one, laser disc.
No. There's the video. There's those, and then there's video discs. They're different. Yeah.
Laser disc.
In the third world, they use video discs. They never sold them here.
Oh, I don't.
If you were like in a hut in Laos, you'd be watching a video disc.
Video disc. I'm gonna have to look up what the difference is. I thought it was just like lingo, like terminology.
No. It's like. By the way, do you know this? I really hate it. Kids call records. They call it a vinyl. They say, "Oh, I played a vinyl. I got a
vinyl.
A vinyl.
Well, I put on
a vinyl by XYZ band. A vinyl."
Oh. I haven't heard them use it like
it
that.
really bugs me. Just like GIF, also as a graphic designer,
I know.
a GIF
Technically,
is a
GIF.
format,
GIF.
right? It's a format. It's like not just all photos.
No, I get that. Yeah, I know. But that I didn't know the kids are saying it as like I played a vinyl. That's what they say. Sounds weird to me.
No, I think we're gonna have to get rid of that entire generation and send them to Uganda.
Those are your son's generation. That's your son's kids, friends.
Off to Uganda.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, young Gen Z. We're starting over with Alpha. Goodbye.
That's right. Unless they agree. One last chance, stop calling it a vinyl. Then you can stay.
That is pretty annoying from all these
record.
These old Xers. Yeah. It's a record. It's not a vinyl, because you can have a vinyl.
If you want to be really cool, it's an LP.
A vinyl seat. Yes. A vinyl. Vinyl is also used if the kids don't know, like on your dashboards, on like hard vinyl. It could be on your old car seats. Like, so when you're saying you're playing a vinyl, when you're playing if you're playing a vinyl, that really doesn't mean anything.
No.
So don't say it. That's dumb.
Although language devolves, so here we go.
It really has. Bootylicious became a word. Bootylicious. And so has skibbity.
I have no problem with bootylicious.
Skibbity. Skibbity. You have done that.
I literally had never heard of it until it became a word, but okay.
Bootylicious?
No, of course bootylicious. No, skibbity. Skibbity doo.
It's Skibbity Toilet. It's from Skibbity Toilet. It's those damn Russians. They infected our language with Skibbity. Skibbity Toilet is a thing. It's a Russian design or Russian artist made Skibbity Toilet.
I don't even know what that is.
All
if a
the
Skibbity Toilet landed on my head right now, I could not identify it.
It's like a floating toilet with like a Max Headroom type character that springs out. The toilet seat opens, the cover opens, and the head pops out, and he sings skibbity, skibbity, 1, 2, 3, skibbity, skibbity, dee, boop, or whatever. And yeah, it's a weird cartoon of just a bunch of
it's not an ad.
Toilets. No, it's a weird meme. And now the kids use
I know you don't know this because you were not born yet, but in the early 1970s, there was an ad. I think it was like for mouthwash, maybe. But a guy opens up his medicine cabinet, and then a dude head pops out, and he goes, "Hi, guy."
That's terrifying.
Yeah, totally terrifying. I'm sure thousands of people died. Yeah.
What the? Hi, guys. That's Mike Lindell from My Pillow does a weird ad like that where they open the medicine cabinet and he's on the other side of the medicine cabinet.
I have seen that.
And
I never understood, but the politicization. I never understood the politicization of the pillow business, but here we are.
I don't know. But Skibbity is now like a reference to like, that's cool. So instead we went from like, that's cool to that's hot to now that's Skibbity. There you go, Ted. There you are. You guys have a Skibbity weekend.
Indeed. What she said.
We'll be back Monday. Thanks for being here, everybody. Adios, amigos. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Manila.
Bye, y'all.